Chairperson, Excellencies, friends, let us not forget history and the collective lessons we have learned. Let us never forget that the worst atrocities experienced by humankind were committed because of racism and the dehumanization of others. There are times in human history when we must stand firm on our shared values and humanity. These are the times to reaffirm our fundamental human rights and the dignity and worth of us all. In 2001, the international community gathered in Durban, South Africa, precisely to reaffirm that we, the peoples, belong to the same human family, that cultural diversity is a cherished asset for the advancement and the welfare of humanity, that racism, racial discrimination, xenophobia, and related intolerance constitute a negation of the purposes and the principles of the Charter of the United Nations. The struggle against racial hatred, discrimination, and intolerance took a significant step forward in Durban in 2001, when the states adopted the Durban Declaration and Program of Action by consensus. The DDPA, as it is known, is the most comprehensive international agenda for combating racism. It encompasses far-reaching measures to combat racism in all its forms. It calls for tougher anti-discrimination legislation and administrative measures, for better education, access to health care, and to the administration of justice, for greater efforts to fight poverty and to secure development, for improved remedies and resources for victims of racism. It also calls for greater multiculturalism and a respect for the rule of law and human rights. The DDPA was one of the first United Nations documents to recognize the injustice and crimes of the past and continuing impact of the lives of millions of people. It played a crucial role in expanding the global dialogue on racial justice. It paved the way for today's international efforts to combat racism. Next year, we will celebrate the 25th anniversary of this historic document. The Human Rights Council has entrusted the Intergovernmental Working Group on Effective Implementation of the Durban Declaration and Program of Action, of which I am honored to chair, with starting preparations for this commemoration. Chairperson, first I would like to sincerely thank delegations for their cooperation in adopting the report entitled Roadmap to Commemorate the 25th Anniversary of the Adoption of the Durban Declaration and Program of Action by consensus. I am pleased to report that at its 23rd session, the Intergovernmental Working Group agreed that the commemoration of the 25th anniversary should be an occasion to reaffirm our political commitment to combating racism, racial discrimination, xenophobia, and related intolerance. We also agreed to raise awareness of the DDPA and to encourage public support for it through public information and outreach materials, including as part of the OHCHR Fight Racism campaign. Chairperson, friends, the hopes of millions of victims rests on the implementation of the DDPA. But the noblest charter is reduced to empty rhetoric if commitments it enshrines are not put into practice. It is urgent that we take stock and assess the extent to which the solemn pledges that states made in 2001 have been realized. At the same time, we need a clear understanding of the gaps that persist in its implementation. Recognizing this, the Intergovernmental Working Group recommended that the commemoration should focus on assessing the progress made and challenges that remain over the 25 years. To this end, we invite the Human Rights Council to convene a half-day panel discussion at its 61st session, following the high-level segment. We also invite the General Assembly to hold a one-day high-level plenary event on the theme Mobilizing Global Public Support for the Full Effective Implementation of the DDPA, with the participation of heads of state and government. This should culminate in the adoption of a concise political declaration. In recognition of the importance of non-governmental organizations, particularly that of organizations representing individuals and groups facing racism, we invite states to support their participation in the celebrations. Excellencies, today as we witness an escalation and trivialization of conflicts, a denial of human nature, and a serious backlash against human rights and non-discrimination, Today, human rights are more crucial than ever, and collective agreements such as the Durban Declaration and Programme of Action are of great importance. We need a united human rights and equality movement that is committed to respecting and safeguarding the achievement made 80 years ago with the establishment of our organization. This year, 60th anniversary of the International Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Racial Discrimination, and next year's 25th anniversary of the DDPA should be celebrations bringing hope and commitment and respect for human rights and racial equality. These are the times in human history when we must stand firm together for racial equality, for human rights, for the rule of law, for peace and democracy, and that time is now. I count on all of you to join in the celebrations of the DDPA 25th anniversary and to actively participate in the discussions at the next session of the working group, which will take place here at the Palais from 15th to 17th October. We will continue negotiations on the draft United Nations Declaration on the protection, promotion, and fulfillment of the human rights of people of African descent. Declaration that aims to address past violations and injustices and their present consequences, a decisive step towards reconciliation. I thank you, Mr. Vice President.